You ever walk into a dealership and see a certified pre-owned SUV with 48,000 miles on it? Spotless paint, leather seats still stiff, cup holders never used, and then you pop the hood and it smells like burnt dreams? Yeah, I did that just last Tuesday. Car was a 2022 crossover, barely out of its factory wrap. Looked like it never saw rain, let alone gravel or a pothole. But under that hood, turbo whining like it hadn't slept in weeks, battery terminals crusted like old cake frosting, and the coolant looked like someone dumped a mud pie straight into the reservoir. Owner swore up and down he barely drove it. And that's the problem right there, friend. Your car doesn't care how many miles you put on it. It cares how you treat it during those miles. And I've seen more cars murdered before they even hit 50,000 miles. Not by crashes, not by cheap manufacturing, but by habits so stupid, so routine, you probably do 3 of them before your morning coffee's even cooled. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Tony, my car's fine," let me tell you about a guy named Carl. Came into my shop last winter with a 2020 sedan, 39,000 miles, perfect service records, never missed an oil change. Runs rough, he says, voice tight like he already knew the answer but didn't want to hear it. We pulled it in, fired it up, and the whole bottom end was knocking like it was trying to escape the block. Turns out, Carl lives 3 blocks from work. Every single day, he'd fire up the car, let it idle for 30 seconds because you shouldn't rev a cold engine, right? Then drive 1.2 miles, park, shut it off. Repeat. 5 days a week for 3 years. Never took it on the highway, never let the oil get hot enough to burn off the moisture that condenses during cold starts. Never let the turbo spool or the exhaust system reach proper operating temps. The engine was literally drowning in its own condensation. Oil turned to sludge, turbo seals gummed shut, and the catalytic converter was half clogged from unburned fuel. And you know what kills me? He thought he was being gentle on it. But here's what no one tells you. Short trips are the silent killer of modern engines. It's like trying to bake a cake at 150 degrees. You're just warming the mess, not cooking it clean. And if you're doing this, hit like right now, because this one habit alone could be shaving 5 years off your car's life. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Tony, my car's fine," let's talk about habit number 2. Never revving your engine. Sounds counterintuitive, right? "Tony, aren't we supposed to drive gently?" Absolutely, once it's warm. But modern direct injection engines, they build carbon like chimney soot if you never let them breathe. I had a customer last spring bring in a 6-cylinder luxury sedan, 42,000 miles, flawless exterior, interior smelled like new leather, and it was misfiring like it was possessed. We pulled the intake manifold and found the valves caked in black gunk thicker than peanut butter. Why? She drove 800 miles a month, all under 2,000 RPM. Never hit the highway, never asked the engine for anything more than a whisper. The fuel injector sprayed directly into the combustion chamber, so there's no fuel washing over the back of the intake valves like in older port-injected engines. That means carbon builds up fast, and the only way to burn it off is heat and airflow. Result? She paid $1,200 for a walnut shell blasting job that could have been avoided with one 20-minute highway cruise per week. The fix? Once your engine's fully warmed up, oil temp light off, cabin heat blowing hot, take it out on the open road and let it sing. Not race it, just cruise at 60-65 for 15 to 20 minutes. Let those valves get hot, let the exhaust scorch that junk away. It's free maintenance and your engine will thank you in longevity. Now, this next one is where most folks go dead wrong and dealerships won't tell you because it cuts into their service profits. Habit number 3, ignoring your oil specification. You see that little API donut or the Dexos Gen 3 or WV 508.00 printed tiny on the oil bottle? That's not marketing fluff. That's your engine's lifeline. I saw a 2021 turbocharged pickup come in at just 35,000 miles with a spun rod bearing. Guy used Walmart's cheapest 5W30 because it says it works for all cars. But his owner's manual, right there in the glove box, specifically required a low SAPS, high detergent, full synthetic, designed for turbo longevity and timing chain protection. The wrong oil couldn't handle the heat or clean the deposits. Bearing starved, engine seized. And the kicker? He changed it every 5,000 miles religiously. But he was pouring cheap juice into a Ferrari-grade system. Always, always use the oil grade and spec your manufacturer lists. It might cost $5 more per quart, but it'll save you $5,000 in the long run. If you've ever grabbed whatever oil was on sale just because it matched the viscosity, drop a comment below. I'll send you a link to the right spec for your exact ride. And that's not even the weirdest part. Let's talk about your brakes. Habit number 4, riding the brake pedal. You know that person who drives with their left foot resting on the brake? Or the one who feathers the pedal on the highway to slow down gently? They're cooking their brake fluid from the inside out. Seriously, brake fluid is hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air over time. Every time you lightly tap that pedal, the pads rub against the rotor, creating just enough heat to boil the water in the fluid. Once that happens, your pedal goes soft, your stopping distance doubles, and moisture starts corroding your caliper pistons and ABS valves from the inside. I've rebuilt more low-mileage brake systems ruined by this than by actual hard driving. The fix? 1 foot, 2 pedals. Left foot stays on the dead pedal or flat on the floor. Right foot does gas or brake, never the both. Simple, free, life-saving. Wait till you hear what happened next with habit number 5, ignoring tire pressure. Not just low pressure, but wrong pressure. Your door jam sticker, that's not a suggestion. That's engineering backed by thousands of test miles. Underinflate by even 5 psi, and you're not just killing your gas mileage, you're overheating the sidewalls, which leads to blowouts. Overinflate, and you're riding on the center of the tread, reducing grip and making your suspension work overtime. I saw a minivan come in last summer with both rear tires shredded at just 44,000 miles. Owner said they just blew out on the highway. But the wear pattern told the real story. Center tread worn smooth, edges like new. Classic overinflation. He'd been filling them to 45 psi because the max on the tire says 51. Wrong. That 51 is the burst pressure, not the operating spec. The door jam said 36. He ignored it. Tires overheated, steel belt separated, and he nearly rolled his family. Check your PSI once a month, cold, meaning the car's been sitting overnight, with a real dial or digital gauge, not the gas station junk that's been dropped 100 times. And if you've never checked yours, hit subscribe, because I'm doing a whole video next week on reading tire wear like a detective. Now, habit number 6 may shock you if you live up north. Never washing your undercarriage. You can wax your hood till it gleams, but if you never blast the salt, sand, and grime off your frame, suspension, and brake lines, you're building a rust bomb. I had a Subaru Outback at 47,000 miles. Great car, usually bulletproof. Came in with a collapsed rear control arm. Why? Salt sat on it all winter, ate through the metal like battery acid, and one decent pothole finished it off. And it wasn't just surface rust. It was corrosion so bad the rubber bushings dissolved from chemical exposure. A $20 pressure wash twice a winter would have saved a $1,400 repair. Don't wait for spring. Wash the belly every few weeks in winter, especially after a snowstorm. Your grandkids might still be driving that car, if you do. And here's one they'll never admit at the dealership. Habit number 7, using cheap gas. Top tier isn't a gimmick dreamed up by oil companies. It's a detergent standard created by BMW, GM, Toyota, and others to prevent carbon buildup. Non-top tier gas leaves varnish in your injectors and intake ports. I've cleaned more carbon-clogged GDI engines from budget gas than from anything else. One customer swore his name brand gas was fine until we pulled his injectors and they looked like fossilized twigs. Switched him to a top-tier brand like Shell, Chevron, or Costco, added a proper fuel system cleaner every 10,000 miles, and his misfires vanished. Your engine runs cleaner, smoother, longer. And no, that 10-cent difference per gallon doesn't matter when you're avoiding a $900 intake cleaning. But maybe the dumbest habit of all, habit number 8, ignoring warning lights until they go away. The check engine light isn't your enemy, it's your mechanic on the dashboard. I had a woman come in last fall with a completely dead catalytic converter at just 41,000 miles. Why? Her upstream oxygen sensor failed, the engine ran rich for months, and raw fuel cooked the catalyst from the inside out. She said the light came on, but then it turned off after a few days, so I figured it fixed itself. Nope. Modern cars stop reporting certain faults after a set number of drive cycles, but the damage keeps piling up. If a light comes on, even once, get it scanned. Most auto parts stores do it free. And if you've ever ignored a light that went off, leave a comment. I'll tell you which ones you absolutely cannot afford to miss.
We're not even halfway through, and already your car's got a fighting chance. But let's keep going. Habit number 9, overloading your vehicle. That roof rack full of kayaks every weekend, the trunk packed with tools, spare tires, a dog crate, and a week's worth of groceries. You're not just burning extra gas, you're hammering your wheel bearings, straining your transmission, and warping your suspension geometry. I saw a crossover with just 38,000 miles need new rear wheel bearings because the owner hauled a 500-pound ATV every weekend for 2 years. Bearings aren't designed for constant overload. Respect your payload rating. It's in your owner's manual or on a sticker inside the driver's door. Exceed it regularly, and you're signing up for premature wear across the entire drivetrain. And habit number 10, mixing tire brands or tread depths. Sounds harmless, right? But if your front tires are bald and your rears are new, your stability control system gets confused, thinking you're skidding when you're not. On AWD or 4WD vehicles, even a 2/32 difference in tread depth can cause binding in the transfer case, overheating the clutch packs, and eventual failure. I rebuilt a transfer case on a luxury SUV at 45,000 miles, all because the owner replaced only 2 tires after a blowout and figured close enough was fine. It wasn't. Always replace tires in pairs, at least, and on AWD systems, all 4 at once if tread depth varies more than 3/32. Now, this one's sneaky. Habit number 11, using plain water instead of proper coolant. It's just for the summer, they say. But tap water contains minerals that scale your radiator, heater core, and water pump seals. I've seen more heater cores plug up from hard water than from age. Always use the correct coolant mix, usually 50/50 distilled water and OEM-specified antifreeze unless your manual says otherwise. And never ever top off with plain water unless you're in a true emergency. Even then, flush and refill properly as soon as you can. Habit number 12, skipping fluid changes because it still looks clean. Transmission fluid doesn't turn brown because it's dirty. It turns brown because the anti-wear and detergent additives are exhausted. By the time it smells burnt or feels gritty, it's too late. The clutches are already glazing. The valve body is sticking. Change it on schedule, not on site. Your owner's manual has intervals for a reason. 13, ignoring alignment after hitting a pothole. That little shimmy in the steering wheel at 50 miles per hour, that's your tires scrubbing sideways with every rotation. You'll wear a set in half the time and wreck your steering rack, tie rods, and wheel bearings in the process. Get it checked after any hard impact, or at least once a year if you drive city streets. 14, using cheap aftermarket electronics, especially those $20 Bluetooth OBD2 dongles or phone chargers that plug into your diagnostic port. They may seem harmless, but a poorly designed one can backfeed voltage into your CAN bus, frying modules from the instrument cluster to the ABS controller. I've reflashed more ECUs killed by junk dongles than by water damage. Stick to reputable brands, or better yet, don't plug anything into OBD2 unless it's for actual diagnostics. 15, never letting your car dry after washing. Water trapped in door seams, under trim, around headlights. It breeds corrosion from the inside out. Wipe down door jambs, crack the windows an inch for an hour, let air circulate. Moisture is the enemy of electronics and metal alike. 16, topping off your gas tank after the pump clicks off. That extra half gallon you're squeezing in? It floods your evaporative emissions system, saturating the charcoal canister, triggering check engine lights, and potentially ruining your purge valve. Stop when it clicks. The system's designed for vapor space. Don't eliminate it. And the final, stupidest habit, number 17, assuming low miles equals low wear. As Carl taught us, it's not the odometer, it's how you drive. A well-driven 100,000-mile car that's warmed up properly, taken on highway runs, and maintained with the right fluids will outlive a neglected 30,000-mile garage queen every single time. So here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your car's lifespan isn't written in miles, it's written in minutes. The first 10 minutes of every drive. Warm it up right, not by idling, but by driving gently until oil temp rises. Drive it with purpose. Let it breathe. Let it work. Respect its limits, but don't coddle it into weakness. And stop treating it like a fragile museum piece. Cars are machines. They want to work, but they won't survive stupidity. If this saved you from a $3,000 repair, hit like. If you know someone who barely drives their car and brags about it, Share this. They need to hear it. And subscribe to Tony the Honest Mechanic because next week I'm exposing the 5 free services dealerships offer that actually cost you thousands in hidden damage. You don't want to miss it because in this shop, we don't just fix cars, we keep them alive. And you've got the power to do the same, one smart habit at a time.